Hi, welcome everyone to another episode of Let's Talk Special Economic Zones. I'm your host, Ainsley Brown. In today's episode, we're going to talk about special economic zones and ESG, that is environmental, social, and governance. Now, this is a growing area of investment across the world. In fact, during the COVID-19 pandemic, it's an area that has seen tremendous or steady or sustained growth in spite of the pandemic. In fact, in many ways, people shifted their money towards companies that are or claim to be following ESG principles. This is still a concept that is still emerging. So, how exactly you measure it? Um, there are different ways, different methods, and it's emerging. Regulators around the world are even stepping in to create certain standards. So it is relatively new in that respect, but it's not that new because it covers aspects of corporate governance, it covers aspects of corporate social responsibility, all of those things. But let's look at it from a special economic zone perspective, and that is special economic zones, uh, free zones, enterprise zone, whatever you want to call it, industrial parks. There are different names for what I'm referring to, but they're all unified in that it is a specially designated area where the government has incentivized investors, local and foreign investors, to come in, and there are different rules that apply or exemptions, particularly around trade rules and customs rules and so forth. Right? That's what a zone, special economic zone, is in a nutshell. Now, zones, have 40% of global goods trade. So ESG would naturally, given that size, would naturally somehow connect to it. So zones wouldn't be left out. Now the ESG market currently is about 37.8 trillion in terms of assets under management. Yes, trillion, 37.8 trillion. And it's estimated to grow to 53 trillion by 2025. That's quite sizable. That is not something that governments, investors, people in general can ignore because that's some serious money. Now, how would it apply to special economic zones? Let's break it down per the area. So, environment, social, governance. Environment, you of course have to protect the environment. What measures, whether you come from it from a government standpoint or you're coming from it from a investor standpoint. Typically, this is from an investment standpoint because there aren't really, to the best of my knowledge, strict government rules that are ESG per se, but there would be rules that touch upon these things in terms of environmental protection and social protections and governance, right? Indirectly. So, in terms of what exactly is a company doing to protect the environment, and the ESG movement is particularly driven by stakeholders and shareholders who are asking, hey, what are you doing for the environment? Um, do you have water conservation? Do you have energy conservation? Do you have renewable energy? How are you procuring your raw materials? Is it done from organic sources or renewable sources? All of these different things, questions are being asked. Likewise, in terms of social, what social impact are you having? And typically, this is framed in a negative way, unfortunately. So, you don't want to have a negative social impact, but also it can be done in a positive way. What positive social impact is your goods and services having on um, the country or the world? Um, so, they'll look at it from that perspective. And then with governance now, there is two sides to this again. Looking at it from internally, how are you governed internally? What are your rules? Are your rules clear and transparent? Are you do you have accountability mechanisms built in place to ensure that the board, your executives are held to account, particularly dealing with the social impact and dealing with the environmental impact. But there's also another aspect in terms of particularly for developing countries or countries that are looking to attract FDI, you're looking at it from a governance standpoint of what is your track record in, just as an example, in paying taxes in that other jurisdiction? Yes, I've invited you in, and I want benefits as well, and I want you to be able to, or pay your taxes. What is your reputation? And once I've invited you in, what is your track record in my country of paying your taxes in full or on time? But that's just one example. That's not the only form of governance that there is. So, in terms of special economic zones, as I said, because there are slightly different rules within this designated area, separated from the rest of the economy, how how does ESG play itself out? Um, that's a very good question, and investors are asking this question, and also their backers, their shareholders are asking these questions. So, because zones play such a vital role in global trade, it will naturally impact special economic zones. I'm going to be doing a series of these. This is the first one around ESG. So stay tuned for the next episode. And if you like this episode, please like, share, subscribe. If you want to see me do a particular topic, just leave a comment down below and I'll get right back to you.